politicians and pundits have made trans rights one of their top wedge issues. They stir up outrage and push legislation designed not to help, but to divide, distract, and control. We've all seen it. Bills banning gender-affirming care, bathroom access, policing pronouns, especially in state legislation. Leaders pushing them claim it's about protecting children or upholding values, but it's not. This is about consolidating power through fear. And while trans people feel the sting of this, the harm doesn't stop with them. It ripples outward, touching every one of us. Because when anti-trans rhetoric spreads, it erodes compassion, truth, and freedom for everyone.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
Well, hello and welcome to the FreedHearts podcast. My name is Robert Cottrell and I'm here as always with
Susan Cottrell.
Hi. Hello, friends. Welcome back. We are glad, so glad you are here today. Don't forget, check out freedhearts.org. And a reminder, all of our resources are free. Check it out.
Boom.
Boom. You know, sometimes we'll sit down to do the podcast and we think, you know, what's the message that needs to be heard most right now? And today, with everything that's going on in our current political climate, transgender people are being used as pawns in a dangerous game for them, a dangerous game of fear and power. Politicians and pundits have made trans rights their favorite wedge issue. They fuel headlines, they stir up outrage, and they push legislation, especially in states, that is designed not to help, but to divide, distract, control, enrage, get their base worked up and continuing to send in their donations. And we've all seen it. Bills banning gender-affirming care, restricting bathroom access, even policing pronouns, and they're flooding, again, state legislatures. That's a hard word to say for me, legislatures. And the leaders pushing them claim, beloved, I know you've heard it, they claim it's about protecting children or upholding family values. But come on, let's be honest here, it's not. It is about and only about consolidating power through fear. And while trans people often feel the sting, and the sting is such a light word to use right there, but the impact, the damage of this rhetoric, the harm doesn't stop with them. And that's what we want to talk about today. It ripples outward, touching every one of us. You know that First They Came For poem?
Yeah.
Because when anti-transgender rhetoric spreads, it erodes our collective and societal compassion and truth and freedom. And it does that for everyone.
Yes. Yes. When we target any group with cruelty, we diminish our collective humanity. Just think about that. Dehumanization doesn't stay neatly confined to one community. Once we normalize shaming, excluding or demonizing people, any group of people, it sets a precedent that anyone can be next. My niece used to say, you can't spot lose weight, like on her tummy. I can't spot lose. You either lose overall or you gain overall.
Yeah.
And that's really the same thing here.
Yeah, and think about it, just what this division and what this anger and what this hate speech over the past decade or so, maybe since 2016, has, and way before that, of course. But we say things now, people say things now that they would never have said before.
Yeah.
And they express anger and hate and dehumanization of people now in ways that would never have been acceptable before. So it, as you said beautifully, it diminishes our collective humanity.
Yes, yes. And today it's trans kids, as anybody with an eye open knows. And, tomorrow it's immigrants. Next, it's anyone who dares to live outside their narrow definition of what's acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, is it women are going to have to wear pants? I mean, dresses again, is that coming? I mean, nothing seems to be off limits here. And this is exactly why Jesus consistently stood with those who were cast aside. He didn't say, love your neighbor unless their existence confuses you. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. And the attack on trans people is not just about them. It's an attack on the radical, unconditional love that we're called to live.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. Why is even the church so against that spirit-led unconditional love? Because they can't control that.
Yeah.
You know, they can't monetize it, so to speak, but they can't control it.
Commodify it, too.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, commodify it, yeah. You know, and friends, when politicians tell us to fear our trans neighbors, what they're really saying is this: fear difference itself. Okay? That fear just doesn't stay in the halls of government, by the way, and we're seeing that. We've seen that. It steps into our classrooms, our workplaces, our churches, our families, around the family table. It creates an environment where people are afraid to be themselves, afraid to ask questions, afraid to learn. And fear-based politics, they never stay put. We've seen this movie before. These same tactics have been used for decades, beloved, against LGBTQ communities, against racial equality, as you said, against women. Fear is a blunt instrument.
I love that.
It's not meant to build anything. It's meant to control and destroy. And when fear is in the driver's seat, love takes a back seat.
Yes. And fear is very effective to control people.
Yeah.
It's the most effective way to control people. And here's another piece.
Well, you know, I mean, this goes back. I mean, in the Old Testament, what were the pharaohs? What was the fear to the Jewish community? Well, you get out of line and we'll kill you or your kids. And what's the fear during slavery?
Yeah.
Do what you're told, or I'll beat your child.
Right.
You know, all this stuff. I mean, it continues everything.
Right.
And even the capitalistic kind of commercialization. It's like, you better buy this. You know why? Otherwise, you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
You won't be as popular. Fear.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
It's everywhere. It's good, and as you said, it's very effective.
Yeah. And while all this noise is happening, while politicians are policing bathrooms and banning books that mention LGBTQ people, we're living through skyrocketing healthcare costs, climate crises, and economic inequality. But instead of tackling those real urgent challenges, they spend their time telling us who's not allowed to exist, because fear is easier to sell than solutions. Keep us rocking back, off our center.
It's also cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
Than the
That's
solutions.
a very good point.
You don't take money away from the trillionaire companies or the billionaire individuals.
Yeah.
To fix something.
Yeah. So they just say, be afraid of them, because that's way easier than rolling up their sleeves and fixing broken systems. And it lets those broken systems and evil systems go unchecked, even unnoticed or unacknowledged or whatever.
Yeah.
And when when we let these culture wars consume us, everyone loses. Trans people pay the highest price, but all of us suffer when hate takes priority over healing.
Yeah. And we've shared this. We shared this on episode 200, but, we have two members. We have two children who are transgender. We have a transgender daughter-in-law. And, I see it. We live together, and I see it every day in their eyes and their fear and the terror that they feel. And I say this with a disclaimer because and it hasn't even gotten that bad. You know what I mean? I mean,
Not
some of the
as
things,
bad as it can get.
Yeah, some of the things that are coming, are what are just completely unnerving, and it's already really, really bad. And I think of things that have passed, have been signed into law into Texas, like it's illegal for a transgender or intersex person to use any public restroom. Now, by public, they mean any restroom that's accessible to anybody else. So airports, restaurants, they can't use it. If they use it, they can be arrested and fined. And if you catch someone using it, you can report them and be rewarded for that, or you can sue the facility for allowing that. It's just, it's anyway. So we see that in our own family, that fear, that terror, and they are paying the highest price. But again, one of the great ironies is that many of these same leaders pushing anti-trans laws are doing so under this banner of religious freedom. Well, let's be real here. Real freedom means you can believe what you want, but you can't impose your beliefs on someone else or on their existence, their identity, or their family.
Right.
If the government can decide who is valid or worthy based on gender, then none of our freedoms are truly safe.
Right.
Jesus never called for laws to police people. He called us to love, to care for the least of these, to stand in solidarity with the marginalized. When faith is twisted into this weapon against our neighbors, against whoever is identified as the them by the church, we lose sight of the very heart of the gospel.
Yes.
And,
I think the biggest enemy for us in all of this is fear itself.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about all these things.
Yeah, I know some of the stuff I just said is
very
scary.
fearsome.
Yeah.
But I think our point here is to name it and acknowledge it and grieve whatever loss we need to grieve and not just pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
And so it's
here's
and so that that we collectively hear and see this.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Yeah, here's what happens to me in this is I go from being afraid. When I'm afraid, I tend to, my shoulders lean forward and I tend to kind of cower down. But when I identify, when I speak it, when I identify it, when I see it, I'm less afraid and I'm freaking pissed now. And so my shoulders pop back up and my voice gets louder. And that's where I'm not saying the consequences that are happening or the coming are not real, but damn, I'm mad.
Yeah.
And I would rather be mad than cowering down in fear.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's a step up. It is a step up to be angry.
It's not the ultimate end.
Because it is stepping up the stone wall from the pit to raise your level from the cowering fear.
Yeah.
But you're not out of the hole yet.
Yeah.
The anger is on the way toward your own empowerment.
Well, I don't know how much of this is real here, but let me just say, it's almost like they say what to do if you're confronted by a bear.
Right.
That the worst thing to do is to turn and run.
Right.
The best thing to do is to like stand up tall and yell in its face.
Yeah.
And, it's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe that's kind of what we're doing here a little bit.
It's kind of like, because the bear expects you to turn and run, and then it'll chase you and get you.
Exactly.
And it's over. But when you stand up like that.
That's right.
We're not recommending this if you're out camping. Don't stand up and yell at a bear.
Don't check my advice here if you're out camping.
Right.
But that's why they're trying to.
But wait.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
Good.
But when you stand up to the bear and yell in its face, it was like, well, that was unexpected. From this, I thought this was an easy prey.
Right.
And it puts you in a different position. Again, This is not our camping recommendation.
Right. So the bears, the anti-gay, anti-trans politicians, pundits,
Right.
whatever, what do they try to do They try to silence our voices. That's
Right.
why they're trying to silence our voices, because our voices are effective. We shine light on the darkness. That's what speaking this does as well. It shines light on the darkness. We just don't let them get away with the lies,
Yeah.
and so that's why they try to silence us so much.
Yes.
But I'm not going to stop, and you're not going to stop, Susan.
Right.
And I hope, again, we have to be aware of the real dangers and the real
Right.
consequences, and we have to stay safe and keep those we love safe. But we, as our friend Debbie Jackson says all the time, you gotta speak up.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You gotta speak up now.
Yep.
You know. So
And
okay.
yeah, that's right.
Thanks
And
for
so,
listening.
Well, yeah, this is important. It's a balance. We're in a weird place of unthinkable things happening,
Yeah.
and us having to hold our center and find our power in the midst of it, because our collective power, I swear to you, is bigger. The critical mass of us is bigger, and it will overwhelm this political moment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
This cannot
We believe that.
continue.
Yep.
I think it may take a few years. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it can't continue this way. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I think also that speaking the truth, identifying the truth, for me, helps me not feel overwhelmed
Yes.
by that.
It's like, am I
Again,
crazy here?
I can get overwhelmed with fear, and you go down a rabbit hole and be scared.
Right.
But I'm not really overwhelmed with rage,
Yeah.
and anger.
Yeah.
And that I feel empowered in that. I don't feel like I want to close my door and turn on Netflix and just spend the next 3 days binging The Bear.
Although sometimes that's a good
But
idea.
That's not a bad idea sometimes. But okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
And when I hear these things, they really hurt. The anti-trans rhetoric that isolates families who are just trying to love and support their families, their children. And when parents of trans kids are vilified, labeled as abusers or groomers, what are you talking about? And, they're just affirming their child's identity. What's the alternative? To deny their child? That's the worst, as many of you know. And,
And what's happening in the church now anyway?
At this moment, real abusers and groomers are being protected.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's one of the tactics, is you call other people what you are, and it diverts the attention from you. Yeah. Churches and schools are pressured to erase LGBTQ voices, and young people are left without safe places to belong. Heartbreaking. When we silence these voices, we don't just hurt them, although we hurt them, but we all miss out. We miss out on the richness of the diverse experiences, the stories of courage, the lessons in love that trans people and their families have to offer. And their stories remind us of what it means to stand in authenticity, even when the world pushes back. And that's a lesson all of us can really embody right now.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, anti-trans rhetoric is built on fear and lies, but love is built on truth. And love doesn't need to erase someone's identity to feel safe. Love doesn't need for everyone to look and think and act the same. Love embraces the fullness of who we are. Each of us that carries the blueprint of God inside of us. Each of us a hologram of God, with all of God reflecting in us. And when we stand with our transgender siblings, we're not just protecting them, we're protecting the soul of our society.
Yes.
We're saying that every person, no matter how different, is worthy of dignity, safety, and belonging. And this just reminded me, we talk a lot about hell. We've talked a lot about how hell does not exist. That was man-made. and
We do have
man-flamed.
episodes on that. If you
Yeah,
want to
we have many
listen.
episodes and a YouTube channel series on it. But just here's a big thing, and this is connected to this, that if you can imagine that hell exists and that you will go on somewhere like great and beautiful, but you know people are suffering in hell, won't that impact your peace while you're somewhere beautiful, knowing people are being tormented, people you knew and loved are being tormented? Of course. And people ask that all the time. Well, of course it does. What are we going to suddenly have amnesia? So it's the same. That was just my long way of saying it's the same here. When the least of these are being tormented, it affects all of us.
Yeah. Let's bring this home. What can we do? We can speak out, beloved. We can call out hate and misinformation when we hear it. We can support trans voices, trans organizations. We can listen to their stories. We can amplify them in our community, our social circles. We can advocate for policy change. We can speak up and fight against harmful laws, support organizations defending LGBTQ rights, and we can model unconditional love, even if it's just the next person you encounter after this podcast ends. In our families, in our workplaces, in our faith communities, be that safe, affirming presence. Be the love you want to see in the world. Because when we choose love over fear, we not only protect transgender people, we create a world where everyone is free to live fully and authentically. And that's the world we want. That's the world spirit, the universe wants us to realize is there, and to help create that or bring that, heaven on earth here, that, kingdom of heaven that's here right now.
Into our collective reality.
Right. It's available to us, beloved. It's available to us. And when we do that, love is winning, even when we don't see it. So, beloved, thanks for being with us today. I mean, this conversation isn't easy at times, but it's necessary. And your willingness to lean in, to listen, to love, that gives us, all of us, hope.
So until next time, may you walk with courage, may you walk in compassion, and may you walk knowing you're deeply loved.
We love you.
We love you. Bye.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
You've been listening to the FreedHearts podcast. We have extensive resources and vibrant, inclusive community for you at freedhearts.org. Please come say hello. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for the podcast, just email us at podcast@freedhearts.org. Audio engineering is by Luke Johnson. The music is provided by our child, the Grammy-nominated Saint Sinner. You can find out more about him and his music at saintsinnermusic.com. Please share, subscribe, and follow on your favorite platform and support if you can. And thanks for listening.